Hi, I'm Kathleen Wyman, author of humorous women's fiction, and I am one of the hosts of Author Events new series, Author Talks. And I'm absolutely thrilled to today be talking to the brilliantly talented and extremely lovely author, Millie Johnson. Millie's taking part in Bournemouth Romance Writing Festival on October the 17th and 18th. If you haven't got your tickets yet, please go and get them, because it's such a great opportunity to see Millie and some other amazing authors in person. And Millie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Honestly, an absolute pleasure.
Oh, we're going to be talking a little bit later about your 23rd novel, which is coming out in October. But perhaps we could start off by me asking you how you got started with writing. Um,
I just always wanted to write, Kathleen. It was the only thing I ever wanted to do. And I tried for many years on and off. But what I realized when I did get published is that I couldn't have written the sort of books that have given me a career back then. I had nothing to say. They've all the books that kind of made me break through were the ones that had been written by a woman and been kicked round the ring a few times. So it was quite right that the early ones were doomed to fail. I didn't think anybody would be interested in books about the North because nobody was writing books about the North. They were very London centric when I started, and so I never set my books in the North. They were kind of set in some no man's land. I thought that nobody had noticed actually that they wouldn't be set anywhere because I couldn't, of course, write authentically about the South. And it was only when I started kind of embracing my northernness that, and that was really because I got sacked for having a Yorkshire accent, and it just made me bloody minded enough to think, right, well, I'm gonna write a book about Yorkshire and just show these people that we're as good as everybody else. It was really taking all that humiliation and fashioning it into a fuel. And an agent that I'd been chasing kind of started putting handwritten notes at the bottom of her rejection letters saying, your work is publishable, but this isn't the story. And that just fired me on. And quite simply, I got pregnant at the same time as two of my pals. We were knocking on for 40. And we were sitting in my front room and with our new babies. And I just thought, why the hell aren't you writing about this? All these years, 15 years, I've been chasing an agent at this point. I'd been looking on the horizon for some swanky storyline. And really, it was at my feet, and it was the very ordinary lives of northern working class women, workplaces, friends, babies, women's friendships. Wrote a kind of hurried synopsis, sent it off to this agent that, as I said, I'd been chasing her for 15 years. And she said, this is it. This is the one I've been waiting for. And then, of course, there was a mad scramble then. You get a 2-book deal, and all my life had been geared up to one book. And I thought, I don't know if I've got another one in me, Gave me the biggest migraine I've ever had in my life. But, you do find it. And as you said, it's 23 full-length novels now. And so you find it. So that was it. I found my groove. That was it. We can all find it. Might take some time, but you find it eventually.
the books that women can relate to, and that's something that you really write about, isn't it? Life, love, friendship, the importance of community. And books that champion women, which is brilliant, their strength, their resilience. So it sounds as if these are all inspired by you, I guess, and your friends. And where else do you find your inspiration?
Well, it's all around me. I mean, for many years, I was a leading copyright gourmet on a copyright in the greetings card industry, and we were always looking for the relevant things that people would make people buy greetings cards. It was very relevant. So I'm trying to find a point of difference, but also I'm trying to find those things that I know that people will relate to. Like, the last book I wrote in the summer, I knew that I couldn't see anybody writing about wills and families breaking up about wills. And everywhere around me at this point was somebody having a row about a will. So I knew that would be something that people would tap into. Women's friendships, affairs, toxic women's friendships, families, caring. So it's all around me. Life is all around, life is all around all of us. And the things that we are going through, the things our pals are going through, that we sit down, yeah, I know how you feel, love, I know, and it's those things I try and tap into.
Yeah.
So yeah, which have grown, obviously, as I've grown and aged. One day I was writing about pregnancy, the next day I'm writing about the menopause and caring for parents, etc. You evolve along with your books.
Yes. So you've evolved as a writer. Do you feel like readers' expectations have changed since you started?
I don't know if they've changed, but my readers obviously have aged with me. So the things that I'm writing about, they will tap into that part of my life. I don't try and write for primarily women my age, because if you do that, I'll alienate my 20-something, my 30-something readers. So usually I try and give a good spread so that women of all ages can find something in my books that they can relate to. But probably the major nub of the story is going to be something that I've gone through, that interests me at my age, that I can see my pals going through. But as I say, I just try and spread it out a little bit across all the age ranges.
Yeah.
Because I write for women of all ages, and I don't want to lose track of the fact that inside this, wrinkled old bag, there was once a rather superb 20-year-old. Actually, there wasn't, but there was a 20-year-old, you know what I mean? There was a 20-year-old trying to find a feet. There was a 30-year-old trying to find a feet. There was a 40-year-old who was frustrated in life, who wanted a renaissance. So I try and remember all the stages that I've gone through in my life. Hopefully that will resonate with women readers of different ages.
Definitely, I think so. There's something for everyone there at whatever stage of life you're at.
I hope so.
Which is fantastic. I'm really sorry to you said about you were sacked for your Yorkshire accent. That's terrible.
Yes.
What happened?
It is. I worked for it was a cruise company in the Yorkshire, run by Yorkshire people, and I was really good at sales. I sold the top cabin, and they roped me in for I thought for a bonus. I thought they were going to be really pleased with me that I brought them all this money. And I will never forget the words. She said, "I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go." And it wasn't what I was expecting. And I asked her, what have I done? And she said, "Well, you haven't done anything, but we think your accent is better suited to the textile industry where you came from." Because I had a job in a mill before that. And it was probably the most humiliated I think I've ever been in my whole life. Marched off the premises in case I don't know what they expected me to do, nick all the customs for my own cruise company maybe, but it happened to be the making of me, because it was that switched me on to thinking, right, I'm going to write about the North. I'm a great believer in that experiences do happen to people in life for reasons that we will never know, that there is something in the cosmos that sometimes nudges us in the direction that we need to go. And that was the point when I actually thought, right, well, I'm going to write about Yorkshire then. I'm going to write about Yorkshire, because I had to turn that humiliation into some sort of fuel to survive it. As I say, it was the making of me. It gave me the right direction to go in, to write about the North, to write about women like me coming from the North. But I would have, I'd still like to see her and chuck a pint over her head, to be honest, because it was a horrible thing to do, But as I said, it was, looking back, it was a dreadfully constructive thing, if hurtful at the time.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, I hope very much that people couldn't get away with that now, could they? And wouldn't
No.
want to get away with that now, embrace diversity. And well, the cruise company's loss is certainly read as a nice gain, that's for sure. The fact that you are championing your Yorkshire roots is just brilliant, because everyone wants to be able to feel that they're represented and seen, don't they?
Yeah, and Yorkshire is a pretty big county. And not only that, I mean, I'm doing my, when people say, oh, you should have more people in wheelchairs in your books, you should more people in, more black women, more Chinese people, Asian, whatever. And I don't need to do that, because one, it's a sticky wicket. I never force characters into my stories just to tick a box, because I think that's how it would read. But I'm doing my bit for diversity with working class people, my working class world. It's what I know, and we are underrepresented. So that is me. I mean, I do have gay people in my books, etc. But they are there because they've turned up and said, hello, I think we can do business together. In my head, I haven't ever thought, well, I need more people like that so I can look really good to everybody. And it would read like that, and I don't do it.
You're authentic.
Yes.
What would you say have been the main challenges in your writing career, and how have you overcome them?
Well, my first agent wasn't a great fit, so that really worried me, actually, because you have to have the right publisher, you have to have the right agent, you have to have that fit. And so I changed my agent, and fantastic agent, the first one, brilliant A-list agent, but not right for me. And your agent has to be right for you. And the one that I picked is right for me, has my back at every turn. So that was one of the things that that was challenging at the time, finding a good agent that worked for me. Publishers, I've been very, very lucky, because I've seen my peers have real problems with publishers that just didn't work out. I've been with the same publisher right from the year dot, and they've been brilliant with me, absolutely brilliant. So I haven't had that. I did at one point have a plateau in my career, and I thought, how do I get over this? There was a plateau, and it's always a dread that you see your figures going down, and at that point they'd always gone up and up, and so we needed to get over that plateau. So I just gave it every single thing I had, which is no good if you haven't got a brilliant marketing team behind you, and I do. So we got over that, and there was a steady climb. And of course now we've got the celebs, we've got all the celeb thing to deal with. Peers getting squeezed off supermarket shelves. Again, I've been very, very lucky that the supermarkets are on board with me. The trouble is for authors coming up now is that you need the sales figures to get the supermarkets. You need the supermarkets to get the sales figures. It's been, I never rest on my laurels. I love that marketing meeting. Are the supermarkets on board? Yes, they are. Great. Now I can breathe. So it is always a plate spinning thing, always. And of course, AI. We've got AI now to deal with, and you can go on to chat, whatever it is, GPT or whatever, and write a poem in the style of Millie Johnson, write a paragraph in the style of, and hopefully with me, I've got quite a unique voice, I think. So it will throw out a load of Yorkshireisms, etc. But I think, no, it's not me. But that is always going to be refining. So these are the things that we all have to face, getting squeezed off supermarket shelves, etc. We just have to, there are things in this world we can't do anything about, like AI and getting squeezed off supermarket shelves when they are reducing their supermarket shelves, etc. For writers, for hardbacks, etc. So we just have to make sure that our plowed furrow is we are in our lane, we are doing the best that we can, we are on our publishers' backs to make sure they're doing all that we can. There are things that we can't control, but we have to just look at the things that we can control.
Yeah,
it's hard. I'd hate to be starting off now. I really would. I think it's incredibly difficult now, especially for romance writers, because we still, again, this is one of the big things, of course, probably the biggest, is that as a northerner, as a woman writing romance, I'm trebly buggered, really, because, you know, they will not, still we have this prejudice about our genre, and not appearing in the roundups, etc. We still have this prejudice within the workplace, the marketplace, that we still haven't tackled. It's getting better, but it's a big wall to dismantle. That is a big problem for us all, I think, in this genre.
I know, because romance is up there, isn't it? It's one of the most popular genres, and yet for some reason there's some sort of snobbery about it, as if it's not credible.
It's bonkers. Kathleen, it struck me. I was driving in the car a few months ago, and I'm singing away to AC/DC. You shook me all night long about this, you know, this bloke falling in love. And I thought,
if you want to do a rendition now,
no, I better not. I better not. I don't want people hitting the mute button or the silence button, as it were. But you know, nobody would ever say to John Bon Jovi, or, you know, or any of the Ozzy Osbourne, they would never say to them, you write songs, do you? You know, you don't write any of that romantic rubbish, do you? And all the rock songs, all of them, were about romance. It really is the thing that makes the world go round, isn't it? All the songs. How many songs are not about romance? Of course, there are quite a few, but most of them are. But yet, for some reason, if a woman writes a romance book, it's you know, degraded. I don't get it. It's based on nothing. It's a prejudice that is smoke without fire and needs to stop, really. But yeah. Would never say it, because would never say it to a rock star, would they? You don't write.
No.
Romantic lyrics to you, rubbish.
Reminds me of watching Top of the Pops with my dad when I was really young, and asking him, why are all the songs about love? And he said, because it's the most important thing.
It is. It is the most important thing. Yeah. And during COVID, what was it? Our sales went up by, is it 51% or something like that?
People were craving that, weren't they?
Yeah. People wanted that familiarity. They wanted their communities, and they couldn't go out to get them. So they turned to, you know, and we have massive figures. You know, when the Sunday Times best seller list comes out, you know, that's only a third of the story, because there are, you know, figures for paperbacks, for hardbacks, the audio, the ebook. And if those figures were all put together, I'm pretty sure that, you know, they're massive figures, huge figures, huge. People buy romance in their millions.
Yeah, they do. It's very much enjoyed and sought after. Do you have any writing tips for? No, it's tough to get started, but when it is starting, actually, I would welcome your writing tips.
Well, right, you know, write the book that you want to write. I've had to write these down, actually, because they were important ones. So, you know, don't follow a trend. By the time you've written the book anyway, the trend will have probably passed. Yeah. But it's really difficult. Writing is really difficult. You have to enjoy what you do. And if you're following a trend, the chances are it's not going to be something that you want to write. I couldn't say, I mean, the big trend at the moment is romantasy. And you know, I'm not into that. So I know that if I started writing something like that, I'd make a total cock of it, to be honest. So I enjoy what I write. The first bit, of course, of writing any book is very, very easy, because it's fresh and it's wonderful, and every writer will get to the bit where the momentum starts to slow, and that is the scary part. And I go through this with every single book. I just know now that what is going to happen to me, that about maybe a quarter of the way in, I'll hate this book. I'll think I really want to start a new shiny one. But that's when it is hard work, and writing really is hard work. You will fall in love with that story again, but you do have to get past that part. And as I say, you really have to apply yourself, because you'll hate it. You'll hate these people. You'll not know who they are. You don't want to finish this book. You just want to throw it against a wall. Don't get too hung up on the way of writing a book as well. You know, for many years when I was writing, I bought all those how to write a book books, you know, and they were all telling me how to plan beautifully. I couldn't read. I never read one that said, you might not plan, you might not be able to. I'd got all the Post-it notes. I'd stuck them on the wall. I didn't know what to do with them. So don't get too hung up on the fact that you know, if you're not a planner, you just have to write. You know, sometimes, like with me, I can't plan a word. I will just start writing, and every single time I see where it goes. One note, you know, one word pulls out another, like a box of tissue. So don't get hung up. You just have to find your way. There's only one good way, one right way to write a book, and that is your way.
Yeah.
Editing, of course. Editing, I learned this one quite late. You know, your brain is so used to seeing the words on a page, so you have to trick it into thinking it's somebody else's. Just leave it alone for a bit, come back to it with a fresh eyes. Change the font, change the color. If your manuscript was in double space, make it single space. You know, you print it out as well. When you're reading it, speak it as well. You know, you've got to trick your brain. And if you have got a book out, if you've managed to do it, don't expect that it's just going to walk itself. You know, you have to put some work behind it, as much as you're comfortable with. I'm lucky. I'm very comfortable talking to people, going out there. Not everybody is, but I've seen authors who say, "Oh, my book's not selling." I thought, "Have you got a newsletter? No. Have you done any social media?" "Oh no, I don't like that." You know, you really have to push it. Newsletters, to social media, as much as you can. Some of the social media sites are duds. I've realised quite late on that my audience are not TikTokers. Thank God for that, because I put a piece of quality out there, and 5 views later, I think, what are they looking at? Why aren't they looking at me? So you've got to find. Also, of course, when you're doing all this, is that you have to, and I've done this myself, remember to leave yourself time to write the flipping book that you're promoting. Writing the book is the most important part of all. Everything else, like the social media, etc., has to be, you have to find that balance of doing it. My work-life balance is terrible. I am working on it, but you know, you have to leave yourself enough time to write the book and enjoy writing the book, and not actually write it right up to the deadline. Leave yourself plenty of time to do the edits. And I'm speaking out of my bumhole there, because that's something I don't do. I've taken a year to catch up and do that, but it's an important one, I think, really. Finding that work-life balance, leaving yourself plenty of time to edit properly.
Yeah, definitely. And enjoying the writing. That is such good advice as well.
Enjoy it, yeah.
Through in the writing, won't it?
Yeah, it must be the world's worst job if you don't enjoy writing.
I don't know how you could do it if you didn't.
No, I don't. And I've read books where it comes through that I thought, you know, the author has just written this book to fulfill a contract. Because you can tell someone who has really enjoyed writing a story, and also one who just hasn't and wants to get to the end of it.
Yeah. Well, luckily that's never the case with any of yours. So
no, it's not. I've enjoyed every single one. Yeah. And I've never put one out there yet that I haven't thought, yes, this is ready for the shelves. This is ready. Because I would have just pulled it and left it a year.
You've got to be pleased with it. Well, speaking of books ready for the shelves, tell us about your new one that's coming out, your 24th.
The new one. I am so excited over this one. I really am. I mean, as we've just said, I enjoy every single book that I've written, but occasionally one comes along that just makes you think, oh my goodness, I can't wait till this one comes out. It is a very special one, very special. It's called Let the Bells Ring Out. It's got a weird vibe, the same vibe that its sister book, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, came out. You don't need to have read that one to read this, but there are crossovers, and you will see those very subtle crossovers if you do read it. But it's about 7 people who should never have met, and they are all traveling to various places to spend Christmas in an unforecast fall of snow. And they are traveling on a train, and it's a hook-on train to a luxury train, a privately owned train that's going up to Scotland, and it breaks down in the middle of nowhere. And the driver and the guard go off to get help, but they don't come back. And it's very apparent that they aren't going to come back. And for the sake of some warmth and some food, they break into this luxury train where they are forced to kind of spend what they imagine is going to be overnight, but it turns out that they're there all over Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And so they're there with nothing to do but eat and drink and share stories and learn. And they learn from each other and they teach each other, because they're all lost in more ways than one, these 7 people. And they are not the same people when they get off the train as they were at the beginning. I sought them out on the train. Oh, I loved it. I loved writing this story. I'll break my heart when I get that first horrible review saying, well, I had such high hopes and it was rubbish, because you always get one. You can't please anybody.
I'll ignore them, but it sounds brilliant. I love that what seemed like it was going to be a disaster actually benefits everybody, and
well, it does help that they've got full ladders and lovely beds, and it's a Orient Express, being trapped on the Orient Express in a snowstorm when you've got, light, heat, good company, Christmas, if it fails, it's not going to fail. It's the best thing I've ever written.
Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. So that's the 23rd of October. Yes. Just after Bournemouth Writing Festival, as I mentioned earlier, which is the 17th.
But it will be available there. We've got special papal dispensation
to early copies. So you're in conversation with Paige Toon at the Romance Writing Festival. So can you give us any clues about what you'll be chatting about or what you're hoping to ask her?
Well, we're old mates. We've done this so many times, so we don't plan it. And if we don't plan it, things will come out that we haven't, thought of before. So we'll just chat about our books and what's inspired them. And, for the sake of the audience, we'll probably cover the few bases that people always ask, like how we've written the book and, the processes, etc. But I think that we will welcome all the questions from people on the floor that they want to ask us, and we can, that we can answer on the hoof, which is what we love to do. But we're just 2 old mates chatting, so hopefully that's how it will come across. We both started, I think, more or less at the same time. I certainly feel that this kind of 20-year journey, we've kind of been in tandem all that time. So whatever anybody wants us to talk about on the day and is burning to ask us, we would love to answer them. We would love to answer their questions.
That's why it's great to be there, so you can actually ask your questions. And you're talking about social media. How can people find you, follow you, sign up to your newsletter?
Yeah, well, my website is really easy. It's milliejohnson.co.uk. I've got an American one as well, which is millie-johnson.com. If there's any Americans listening to this, just for them, because I didn't want it cluttered up, But everything is on my website, all my social media handles and how to sign up to the newsletter, etc., and links for Substack and Twitter, the blog, etc. They're all on my website. That is, need to go there. Just put Millie Johnson in and it'll come up. Millie with a Y. You spell it with an IE, you'll probably get a rogue site asking you for all your money. milliejohnson.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Have an amazing time at the Romance Writing Festival, and congratulations on the new book. I cannot wait to read it. And thank you again.
It's been a pleasure, Kathleen. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.